This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Rock, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and 3 Counts starts now.
All right, man. Clearly, internet is ablaze today. Man, Michigan is having its weather, but this guy over here got smart and left the Michigan weather, but he's coming back here for WXC 91 Summer Showdown. Let's get after it. We got the return of our guy, Bad Chad Decker. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Not bad at all, my dude. Not bad at all. Other than the fact that we just had the fucking 2-minute monsoon that knocked J-Bone out of the show today. Other than that, we're doing all right. It rained for about 20 minutes and got pretty gnarly, and then the sun came back out.
It flickered my power.
Hey,
I
yo.
thought I was gonna be part of that club as well. And then also, of course, it cleared up just in time for me to have to do the show. So I couldn't even enjoy the little bit of good weather that we ended up having after it. So, it is what it is. It's just one of those days.
Michigan.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah, man.
No,
Michigan has got the most bipolar weather.
Yeah, I don't know if it ever will.
Yeah, dude. Michigan's got the most bipolar weather. I mean, you're getting the heat over there, man, but damn. Speaking of the heat, now that you're over there in Vegas, that was something we were talking about before we went live. The cool thing with you not only being at Extreme Couture for all the obvious reasons with all the UFC caliber talent in there, a lot of our guys from here in Michigan, man, are all starting to show up there a little bit too, between Cody Stamen, Kenny Cross, who went out there. Tell me about training heading into this one, man, because you're in about as good a place as any as you can be before you step back into the cage.
Yeah, training's been going good. I've been just clocking a lot of hours in the gym, even with the little gap of a couple months in between fights. Still staying in the gym consistent. Speaking of Kenny Cross, I used him a lot for my sparring and drilling this camp just because he's a southpaw fighting a southpaw, so it made a lot of sense. And Kenny's been great. He's been giving me a lot of good work and just sticking with always getting good work in with Cody. So it's been a good training camp. Definitely ready to go for next Friday.
Hell yeah, man. Looking forward to seeing Cody get back in there. Looking forward to seeing Kenny get back in there. I mean, Kenny's a great person for you to have in there as far as sparring with him being long and lanky like that and giving you different looks on the feet. And Cody, I mean, we all know, anybody from here in Michigan knows what Cody's capable of. So again, like you said, definitely a high level room full of people. I mean, not to mention, dude, we've had plenty of news in the world of MMA as well, because another guy who trains out of your gym, dude, Francis Ngannou's been rocking the world with his Tyson Fury fight and the PFL deal and all that stuff, man. So how much with the fight are you getting to keep up on everything that's going on in the world of MMA right now, bro?
On that fight, Francis, he does his own thing. He's in and out of Extreme. Obviously he's gonna be more boxing focused.
Right.
I know Eric Nixick, I'm pretty sure he's in his corner for this one still. He's going to be working with him. So he'll still be having his Extreme guys and probably going I imagine he'd have a boxing coach, but I couldn't tell you exactly. Definitely going to make some good money, though.
What do you think about the fight? How do you think his chances are? I mean that because, obviously we know that Francis Ngannou can knock anybody out. I had the guy next to me, he had his fist next to my head, and I got a big-ass head, and his fist was bigger than that. So with that being said, I'm not trying to get cracked by this dude. But then again, we're talking about him fighting Tyson Fury, who's unarguably the greatest heavyweight boxer that we've had of recent memory, if nothing else. And he's been untouched pretty much by the likes of Deontay Wilder. Now, me personally, I thought he was going to fight somebody like maybe a Deontay Wilder. I thought that was a lot better style matchup, as he's not as technical as a guy like Tyson. How do you feel like he stands in this fight, bro?
You look at it on paper, I think it looks pretty rough. It's a shorter period amount of time just to get ready for that fight, let alone a championship fight. You're getting ready for your first boxing. I don't know if Francis had early boxing matches, he might have, but just a high caliber match like that, it's 3-minute rounds, 12 rounds. It's long ways. So obviously Tyson Fury just is a heavy favorite with it, and Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to speak on it, I guess. I'm
Until you
happy
see what
Francis
happens.
is able to go over there and make a payday and do his thing. And, there's always that puncher's chance, that's for sure.
He didn't fumble the bag, dude. That's the
Incredibly,
thing.
No.
incredibly happy for him to get that money. That's for sure. But
Yeah,
it really
it's awesome to see him bet on himself and see him win, especially when the UFC was like pretty much doubt, like went from like saying John Jones was afraid of Francis Ngannou to like flipping the switch as soon as Francis left. And now they had John Jones, they left Francis out in the cold, and, it was really good to see him pay off, especially with, I know his last couple contracts he wasn't getting what he deserved his last couple pays.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's been my thing through the whole thing, right? Is like you can't argue the fact that the guy, he had not only a fair argument in what he was arguing for, first of all, but second of all, when you look at the discrepancy in what he's making as opposed to what other champions are making, and we all know the difference in MMA versus boxing and all those things. Well, the thing with that is this guy not only bet on himself and said, I'm going to leave UFC, who obviously, as far as MMA goes, is the main breadwinner. But now you take into effect, now he's got this Tyson Fury fight where he's about to get paid. And then when he comes back to MMA, win or lose, he's going to get paid by PFL, and so is his opponent. So, I mean, either way it goes, that's the best thing to me, is that after all this, like you said, he bet on himself, and he's going to be able to at least get a couple good paydays out of it. The question for me more lies is the same thing I was talking about when it first came out. I know that it probably was something that was already pre-worked in when he signed with PFL. Like, I want to fight a boxing fight first, but man, all I can think is, man, if he goes in there and this doesn't end up going the whole fight, or he gets like starched real quick by Fury or something like, dude, that would put a lot of damper on his debut coming into PFL.
Yeah, for sure. They got a good fight set up though, and I've been saying that before he went to the PFL. That big kid that fought Brett Martin, LFA, got DQ.
Yes.
He starts with a Fury or something, Furia or something like that.
Furia.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna set that fight up. I mean, that dude's a monster. Francis is a monster. I think that they're definitely gonna get them in the cage and make some money off that, whether they do it through the tournament or beforehand. But that's definitely a fight to be set up for there.
Do you think that they're going to have to resort to having to keep pulling people in from outside? Because, I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, Ferreira, there's a few people you can think of, like Werdum that came in there. They had, I guess, if you want to say Bigfoot Silva as well. But the thing with that is, bro, like, they don't have a lot of high name power as far as their heavyweights go. I feel like to get them to get any kind of return on their pay-per-views, which is what they're marketing that they're going to try to use Francis for, they're going to have to I feel like they're going to have to bring in some other name value in order for that to, to really materialize for them.
Yeah, I know that suspension didn't really help either.
Not at all, dude. Like, they just said your whole roster, we're cut that bitch in half.
Oh, yeah. All them boys got hit with that. But, USADA's going to PFL, so we'll see how interesting that gets. There's a lot of things going on with the MMA right now. I mean, I bet you hear talks on Instagram and Twitter of Bellator buying PFL or PFL buying Bellator. And stuff like that. So I think this next year things are going to get really interesting.
I do too, man. Corey, what do you think about that?
If that ends up taking place, man, that's going to really change the whole landscape up. I mean, first off, it'll put a ton of pressure on PFL to really step their game up. Me being a huge fan, I already comment on the show all the time. I pretty much watch all of their events and make sure to at least make mention of it here so that they can get what little media attention we can help provide. That being said, they're going to really have to step up their like marketing or something. They're going to have to really generate more eyeballs into their product so that they can make a return on that investment. Because if you do something like that, that's not a cheap acquisition for a company like PFL. And to make a move like that, you would have to really do everything you can to maximize the roster that Bellator has already built up as well. And I feel like to do that with all the guys that they have under contract, unless they just start doing buyouts or something, they'd really have to step their game up. I don't know if they'd start doing weekly cards like the UFC does or some shit, but they'd have to really step it up, at least once a month cards, not just the season format.
Yeah, I'd say like diehard fans like know the PFL schedule, and not a lot of other people don't. They like go under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
Even though it's a huge promotion,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. I mean, even though most MMA fans would still consider Bellator to be number 2, like ultimately they're going to have to get it together one way or the other, because I feel like at this point, to be honest, I almost am starting to wonder for like on a PFL standpoint, short of them combining with a Bellator, whether that's them buying them or however that looks. I mean, the MMA market is going to be saturated for names for them to even really bring in. I mean, let's look at what they did with Shane Burgos. Now, that's dope. They brought him in. Guy I like watching fight, a guy was exciting in the UFC. But you know that the UFC is still going to monopolize a lot of that stuff. So at the same time, the market of who you're going to be able to get is going to be tough outside of the Francis fight, because everybody and their mom is going to want to come fight Francis with $2 million on the purse. I mean, hell, I haven't been in a cage or a ring in I can't tell you how long, and I would do that shit tomorrow for $2 million, even if it meant that I got knocked the fuck out. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I would imagine that there's plenty of fighters who are looking into getting to that. But speaking of other fighters and what's going on, dude, tell me a little bit about your matchup here at WXC 91. Like we said, that's going down next Friday, Southgate, Michigan at Crystal Gardens, taking me back to my 6th grade banquet and shit, making me feel old as fuck. And yeah, man, you're going to throw down against a guy I've been watching fight for a long time. I've been in the corner against this guy and Darren Gibbs as well. So how do you feel about the matchup, and what do you think about the fight?
I think I like the matchup. It's good. He's a brown belt. I think he's tough in areas. I think he'll make me work and make me kind of open up more than I have in the past. So hopefully I'll be able to display, put on a little bit more of a show this fight, being there a little bit longer than I have been, but we'll see. I don't know, man. I'm going to take it to him. That's the plan. I think he lacks a little bit in his wrestling. I don't think his wrestling takedown defense is that good. If I get him up against the cage, yeah, pretty much. I think I'll work him on his cage work the whole time. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a good fight. I'm very excited for it. That's for sure. I'm just ready to get in there.
Yeah,
How long?
About being,
Go ahead.
Talking about being ready to get in there. Are you happy to just kind of get a fight lined up? I was looking, doing my little bit of research, and I seen the 2 canceled bouts between, the last fight and now. Are you just kind of happy to be able to get back in there type of feeling?
Yeah, I've been trying to stay active. Just had a couple, the 2 cancellations just didn't end up working out. Happy this one's going. I'm hoping to get something in the fall. So I'm trying to get the wheels going and keep them going. So just trying to stay active as much as possible. Every 2 months would be great. But yeah, I don't want to be fighting every 5 months or so. Just trying to get it a little sooner.
Well, that brings into a question I had for you as well. Speaking about wanting to be more active and wanting to have more fights, a lot of your fights, obviously, like this one, are back at home here in Michigan at WXC. Is that something after this fight that you plan to kind of expand? Do you kind of want to fight some other places, get some different looks on the regional scene to kind of help build you up before you try to get to the big show? I mean, what's your mindset right now as far as your pro career and on the regional scene?
It's just really convenient to fight back home right now. I still have to get my medicals done. I can do it tomorrow. I'm doing them tomorrow. I'm back home. There's so much resources back home, and like the fan base, obviously it's good for ticket sales and money.
Right.
So that makes sense. I'm totally open to fighting like anywhere else. It's just about like being here, like when I'm cutting weight, I just know it's so much better. So if I'm able to do it, I will take like the extra month or so just to do that. But I'm not opposed to it. Just I'm trying to fight back here as much as I can, just in front of my family, just while the opportunity's there. Because I know that like in the future, like I'm gonna be fighting all over the world. So I know my family's not gonna be able to see every single one of my fights in the future and stuff, and my friends. So just try and fight here as much as I can.
Now, is your goal while you're out here on the regional scene? That's a lot like another guy that we've seen out of here in Michigan who's getting a lot of looks from the UFC and past guests of the show, Austin Bashi, who I got to call his last fight for Lights Out Championship. Shout out to Matt Frendo. That's something that we've seen him do a lot in not only fighting just here, but he's also fighting a wide range of different opponents, from the likes of Joe Penafiel, where he's coming in from Fusion XL, and a guy that, you know, really tested a lot of Austin's wrestling, even though Austin was able to be dominant. Is your goal with fighting these different fights out here on the regional scene, are you looking for certain things in opponents when you're looking at these fights with your coaches, or are you just looking for the top ranked guys around?
I've just been asking promoter to give me a fight, and this is what I've been getting so far. So just been going with that. Yeah, just trying to get him in. That's basically been it. I just hit up Mike. I've been just hitting up the promoters personally, just trying to stay active, and they're just picking me fights from there. So that's just pretty much how it's been working. I think going into next year, I think I'll be seeing like definitely some better competition from people maybe at the end of this year. So we'll see. You know, I definitely think there's a lot of names out there for me to fight in Michigan. It's just about if anyone wants to fight. So we'll see.
He said, step up and get you some. But before we get to the next part of the show, I got to step up and give a little shout out to our sponsors, Potter's Tree Service, man. If you guys are in the need for getting your trees cut up, you're in the need for getting your wood chipped, you're in the need for all these things, Potter's Tree Service is the way to go, man. I'm trying to get it up on the scene if my thing will play out here. There you go. Anyways, not working today, but with that being said, Potter's Tree Service, way to go. You got the links all in the description. You got wood chipping, you got tree cleanup, storm cleanup, which, like I said, took out J-Bone. You know, with that being said, Potter's Tree Service can make that all so much easier for you. Shout out to Asa. Use the number, tell him Knockouts at 3 Count sent you. And I mean, hey, he's an MMA fan too, so we got a lot in common. That being said, you know, back to business with you. You know, we talked a little bit about Darren Gibbs. We talked a little bit about fighting with WXC. You know, do you see this fight again? This guy being a tough vet. I've been seeing him fight since he was an amateur. Do you have a prediction for how you see this fight ending? Do you think it's going to be a quick finish? Do you think he's going to be able to drag you in a war? How do you think this fight plays out, other than you getting your hand raised?
Yeah. I try not to think too much about it, but I definitely want to finish. That's for sure. So, I don't know. I'm just gonna put the gas on him right away and just keep going from there. If I were to predict a finish right now, I mean, it's gonna be a rear naked choke or side choke. That's gonna be the two. I'll even put those both out there. As you know, I think I'll be able to break them to where I'm gonna take both those home with me. So I think if I was a betting man, I'd do that.
You heard the man, snapping necks and cashing checks, bro. He's going to be trying to get these rear naked chokes out here. Well, talking about cashing checks, luckily, you know, if you guys have been following any of our parlays and things, I've won a few of those lately and won me some money. So speaking of that, I figured I would talk to you and see what you're thinking about some of these big fights that we got coming up. Let me get everything up here on the screen. We've got the UFC this weekend, but man, the UFC has really been on a roll as far as just rolling out a whole list of big ass fights here, man, because when you look at not just obviously this card this weekend isn't the biggest of cards, but you have right here as we pull it up, share up, there it goes, go back on here, there you go. So like I was saying, you've got Aspinall and Tybura that's going down this weekend, but then you got Porier versus Gaethje, which is an absolute stack card on July 29th. That's also the same night as Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford, which I got to check that out. You got Sandhagen versus Font. You got Sterling versus O'Malley coming down the pike too. I mean, dude, we've got a hell of a lot of fights going down, and that's not even counting the one that they announced as well with Paulo Costa fighting Chimaev. Now, first of all, Paulo Costa's got to have a damn good manager because this guy just stays in big fights no matter what he does. Although
pulls back into an even bigger fight. Yeah, it's just
it really is, dude. And the sad part of it is, dude, I don't think that this is a matchup that he wants. I don't think he's going to be scared of Chimaev, but I think 85 is a much more comfortable weight class for Chimaev. I don't think that he'll have as much problems with the weight cuts as we've seen at 170. But what do you think about some of these matchups the UFC's been rolling out, bro? It looks like the next few months, bro, we're going to have some bangers.
Yeah, these are some good ones. You want me to just start rattling off who I'm picking here?
Hell yeah,
what's
man.
What's your personal favorite?
Yeah, which one are you most looking forward
Gaethje,
to?
Gaethje Porier.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to.
That
The only one that like kind of is on par or slightly surpasses it is the Jones Stipe, but you're talking all the way in the winter. So,
And I mean,
just
as
a
you
couple
can
weeks
see, look
away,
at the
man.
card
Yeah.
too. Like
Yeah.
Jan Blachowicz versus Pereira. You've got Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green on top of that fight. Then you got Michael Chiesa, Kevin Holland. That's going to be a fight. Stephen Thompson versus Michelle Pereira. That's going to be a fight. You got Derek Lewis on there. I mean, damn, dude. And this is this is the whole thing from top to bottom. But I mean, dude, literally almost that whole card is a bunch of bangers. And then you got one of the Bone Fiend brothers on there. These dudes been busy knocking dudes out left and right. I mean, that's going to be a hell of a card. What do you think about some of those matchups that we rattled off on there? Like I said, you've got Poirier, Gaethje, you got Ferguson, Green, you got Pereira, Blachowicz. How you feeling on these ones?
Yeah, those are all bangers. I'm going to go Aspinall.
Like it.
And I'm just going to go from what I can see. I'd go Jan versus Pierre, which is kind of, I just think Jan's gonna be a little big. He'll weather him and take him down. Then I'd go Ferguson versus Green.
Wow, you like Ferguson over Bobby Green on that one? Ooh,
yeah,
interesting.
I'm gonna go with Green, but I don't know. I'm gonna pick Ferguson.
I think my heart wants him to win too.
I'll go with Poirier on that rematch. Ooh, that's a hard one though.
Oh, it is though, because Gaethje is such a dog, dude. But like I was saying this when his last fight happened. I mean, granted, at the end of the day, we all love watching Justin Gaethje, but damn it, I wish he would we were just talking about this with Bobby Nash, who just fought in Bellator, man. Like being able to get back to having that mix of, using that high level wrestling that he's got along with that knockout power, I feel like is going to be the big thing for Gaethje. I feel like he needs to try to change his levels to show Poirier something a little bit different going into this fight, because I mean, obviously we know that both of them can bang and it could be a war, but I feel like for Gaethje to win, I feel like he needs to throw in some level changes, maybe try to use some of that wrestling, even if he's not trying to hold Poirier down, just show him something different. So it's not just a straight firefight.
Yeah, at the same time, I want to watch that firefight.
I was gonna
Fuck
say,
yeah, I'm with it. I want to see it.
Man.
I'm with it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, if I'm Gaethje going into this fight and he's got Trevor Whitman in his corner who's going to have him ready, I feel like, man, they got to be saying, look, even if you don't try to take him down, I feel like you need to try to. And speaking of rear naked chokes, I love Kevin Holland, bro, but I see Michael Chiesa submitting him.
Ooh. I don't know. I was going to take Holland in that.
I like it.
He still rolls jiu-jitsu. I rolled him down at the 10th Planet Las Vegas down there.
Yeah, and he trains down there at Extreme Couture too, doesn't he? He was down there last time I was down there.
Yeah, he's in and out of there. He was just training with Nick Sick. I seen him, a week or two ago.
He's so tough, dude. It's just the jiu-jitsu part, I feel like. And I feel like Chiesa's a little slicker with the jiu-jitsu transitions. But then again, if Kevin Holland does what Kevin Holland does and makes it a Kevin Holland fight,
stays long.
Well, then, yes. And I mean, if he can get some of them shots off, there's the one thing that you can't deny with Kevin Holland, and that's that Kevin Holland fucking throws bombs, dude. So I'm looking forward to that fight as well. All right, let's see what else we got on here. We talked a little bit about that one. You got Aspinall, Ty Burra. You said you got Aspinall. I agree with you. What do you think about Corey Sandhagen and Rob Font? We saw that Sandhagen got a new opponent on this one.
Mm-hmm. He was fighting Umar, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, I got Sandhagen.
That's
Me
what
too.
That's the question I was going to pose is which fight excites you guys more? The potential of seeing Umar kind of make that step up in the division, or now seeing what should be a striker's delight in Corey Sandhagen versus Rob
I like
Font?
this fight 100 times better. I like you just said. I think it's a lot better matchup. I think ultimately Sandhagen is going to be able to get the job done. But I mean, if he sleeps on Rob Font, this could be a real bad night for him as well. So,
yeah, Rob Font's coming off a knockout.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, Rob Font's one of them guys that just puts pace on you too. So like, if you're not ready to go in there and fight, he's always throwing something. He's always coming at you. I definitely go ahead.
He would knock
Yeah,
out Jan.
I'm gonna pull it up right now. Let me see.
Yeah, they were in a firefight.
That is true. Yeah, that was his last fight.
They still got the picture.
Oh, they still got they're still showing Nurmagomedov. Rob Font looks a lot different, and he's got no losses, and he's from Russia. Look at that
haircut or something. Like that.
UFC updates the name, but he still looks like Nurmagomedov. It's going to be the ghost of Nurmagomedov maybe for Sandhagen, dude. What do you think? You know, with you being in the lighter weight classes, what do you think with this fight with Aljo and Sandhagen or Aljo and O'Malley? Yes,
I got Sterling.
Have you had the chance to play around with Sterling on the mats over there at Extreme?
I rolled with him at 10th Planet like 2 years ago a little bit. He actually had my back for like pretty much the round. It was a good little roll though. He's good. He's he's you know, he's a good grappler.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Aljamain, and I think this fight, unless O'Malley is able to stop the takedowns, which absolutely could happen, but I don't see it happening. I feel like Aljo's his ground game's too good. It's gonna be tough. It's going to be a tough one for O'Malley, I feel like.
I pick Aljo, right? But here's my thought about this, and I'm still fucking upset about this because I'm the only one on the show that picked O'Malley when he had his last fight, and I didn't go that way. Somebody talked me out of it, and I would have won a bunch of fucking money. So first of all, fuck y'all. But that being said, with this fight, the thing that makes this interesting to me is I wonder, do you think with all the shit talking back and forth with Aljo and O'Malley, do you think that there's any chance that O'Malley or that Sterling comes out there and he says, look, man, everybody's talking about how this kid's going to knock me out and all these things and tries to come in there and get a little bit of respect? Or do you think he comes in there the wiser of the two and wants to come in and go right to his bread and butter, which is either his wrestling or the submissions? Because that's the one thing with O'Malley. I feel like O'Malley's done a good job of pissing off his opponents to the point where a lot of times he can make them fight his fight, even if that's not the fight that his opponent wants to fight going into it.
Yeah, I think we could see him strike with him a little bit, but I don't think Aljamain's striking deficit is that big that where it would end up being.
No, I don't either, but I feel like if O'Malley had his best chance, I would say it's probably going to be on the feet.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that, but I feel like with the deficit being the way, in my eyes at least it is, I feel like Aljamain will be able to hang on the feet if that's what he chooses to. But I feel like, more than likely is going to, guaranteed by the end of the first round, he's at least shot once or twice, guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to let a lot of what O'Malley says get to his head either. I think he's going to go in there and pretty much have a good look on his feet of like he's going to stand and just go right to getting him up against the cage, getting his back. I think he'll get on his back early. I mean, he's been doing it to everyone. He did it to Henry Cejudo, you know what I mean? Like, he's been doing it to everyone.
Well, that was what I was going to say. That's the other thing, too. I feel like after that fight with Jan and it going the way it did when he won the title, and then to go back and beat Jan now, like the adversity that he had to beat there, I feel like Aljo should be able to weather the storm and the shit talking stuff doesn't bother you. But here's a fun story for those of you who have been following the show. I'll never forget when Cody and Aljo fought and we had Cody on the show. Cody wanted us to try to get Aljo on at the same time, and he noticed that we knew Cody, and he goes, oh, that's it. He's like, fuck that. You guys are cool with Cody. He's like, I can't fuck with y'all. And now here we are in 2023, and they train together from time to time. So it's funny things, but it's always a funny story from the early days of the show when we used to be in the Podcast Detroit studios.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Well, it's looking good as far as fight night. It's looking forward good as far as lineups for fights. We've talked about Darren Gibbs. We've talked about the fight this weekend. We've talked about a lot of the big matchups that are coming down the pike. If you've got any words for anybody who may be new to Bad Chad Decker fight, what are we in store for come the 29th? Where can we check out the fight? And let everybody know where they can get tickets and all that stuff.
I'm gonna be exciting, that's for sure. I'm gonna go out there and get on them right away. So I'm gonna be making things happen. you can expect a high pace. Just I'll be going and just getting that finish rate pretty early. I think it's gonna be a quick night for me. So it'll be good to go. But hit me up on Instagram, Facebook. If you got my number, text me or call me. I got tickets. I'll run them out or get them on the link on my Facebook.
Hell yeah, use that link. Check out our sponsors, Potter's Tree Service. Make sure you get your shit together, man, because it's getting all that rain and stuff. You know, after what happened a few years ago when the tree fell through my neighbor's roof, you know, you might want to take care of your trees with Potter's Service so you don't end up like my neighbor's roof. So until next time, and in the in-between time, watch them roofs, watch them trees, and watch out for that knockout because Bad Jad Decker is coming through. Peace.
Thank you.